U.S. President Donald Trump threatening 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. The Minister of Small Business and the MP for Mississauga-Streetsville, Richie Valdez, is doing something about it along with the Liberal government to help us stand up to our rights and stand up to Donald Trump. Richie, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me again, Jim. I appreciate it.
It is an honor, and I think for a lot of Canadians, they're wondering how will these tariffs harm Canadian businesses and disrupt supply chains, which we rely on so much every day?
Absolutely. First and foremost, Canada is the United States' closest ally. We know this. We have a strong economic relationship with them, but when faced with completely unjustified tariffs, which you've mentioned, this is not just going to hurt Canadians, it's going to hurt small businesses as well, and we will not back down. We will continually stand up for Canada. These tariffs are unacceptable. They would make Canadian businesses lose American customers. They will reduce investments into Canada, and they will negatively impact Canadian jobs as well. And that is why we are taking a firm approach to stand up for Canadians and small businesses.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, is about the response, including Canada's proposed 25% counter tariffs for someone like me who is not as in-depth of knowledge with the workings of the government like you are. Explain to me and the listeners just exactly how that works.
Absolutely. So Canada and the United States, again, we have this mutually beneficial trading relationship. When President Trump threatened the 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods, the Prime Minister announced $155 billion in retaliatory tariffs against the United States, and also the previously announced border measures. President Trump paused the tariffs, and we're using this time to work with the United States and highlight the negative impacts of tariffs that it would both have on Canada and America. If I kind of take a look at it like a simple example. So, Jim, I visited small businesses across the country, but here I met a small business that's producing kombucha, for example. This local producer, Canadian producer, produces their product here, but our Canadian aluminum, for instance, will be manufactured in the U.S. So when that aluminum can comes back for that business to fill with their kombucha, that can now it becomes 25% more expensive. So that will increase the cost for that Canadian business. That will maybe pass down to their consumers, and this also makes them very, very much like less competitive when they're competing against other businesses here in Canada. So this is detrimental for small businesses, and that is why we are taking a firm approach to stand up for Canada and small businesses as well.
Speaking with Mississauga-Streetsville MP and the Minister of Small Business in Canada, Richie Valdez, on the feed. And I guess a lot of people have heard, Richie, about the Team Canada approach to protect Canadians and small businesses in this country and jobs. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're taking, our government is taking a Team Canada approach. We're working with businesses and provinces, including Ontario, to defend Canada's interests. And I'm continuing to have conversations with many different organizations like Restaurants Canada. In fact, I just met with them the other day to really talk about how we're defending Canadian small businesses and helping the local economy. The best outcome, though, Jim, is that these tariffs do not happen. And that is why we have proposed, again, those retaliatory tariffs and actively engaging with American officials. We're here to support small businesses. We stand ready with financing and advisory supports for businesses through BDC. And I think this is the great opportunity that we can see as well. You see the excitement for Canadian support businesses, helping to support them. And what we're trying to do as well is trying to break down those interprovincial trade barriers that exist, or we're trying to maximize and find opportunities to export abroad internationally as well. So all these opportunities are things that we're trying to actively explore today as we support Canada and, of course, stand up for Canadian jobs.
You know, Richie, it's always amazing to me what would inspire patriotism in Canadians from coast to coast. And I feel a lot of Canadians right now, in light of what's going on, feel more patriotic than ever. And I'm seeing the red maple leaf on store shelves all over. Without even the government saying anything, are you getting the sense that Canadians are going to a greater effort to buy Canadian, to support Canadian more than ever before?
Absolutely. So many small businesses have reached out to me directly and said, look what I'm doing. And they're sending me pictures and photos. And there's just this great sense of pride that we have for Canadians and being Canadian. Canada, again, we will not be bullied. We will continue to defend our national interests and stand up for Canadians.
I know some American politicians have spoken out in support of Canada. From you travel and you deal with other politicians. Have you dealt with some, even off the record, American politicians who have come out to support you and support Canada?
I've been seeing that on social media, absolutely. And it's just because, you know what, as I said before, we've had a strong relationship with the U.S. for a really long time. And I just want to give a shout out to our veterans who continue to support Americans whenever we've had challenging situations. And we have the Invictus Games right now going on, where we have our veterans competing in the games. And it's just truly remarkable what we've done. And even very recently with the LA fires, like we sent our planes there to help them out. We will always be there to support America and as well. But right now with these proposed tariffs, we will continue to stand up for Canada and, of course, to support small businesses as well.